Hello, this is News Live on Viewer Television. I am Joy Malik. The headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari departs Paris for Inter-African Trade Fair in South Africa. Ikoyi building panel addresses public on Monday. Victims' families seek participation. Plus, pilot, passenger escaped death in Australian plane crash. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari will today depart Paris to South Africa to attend the Inter-African Trade Fair. Special advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, announced this on Saturday in a statement titled, President Buhari leaves Paris for Inter-African Trade Fair in South Africa. Now, the event, holding from November 15th to November 24th, is being convened by the African Export-Import Bank in collaboration with the African Union Commission and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. The theme of the fair, Building Bridges for a Successful AfCFTA, aims at boosting trade and investment across the African continent. It also promises to create the enabling environment for businesses to thrive across the African continent, bring to fruition and lofty ideas behind the creation of the AfCFTA by providing the platform to further identify and profile solutions to challenges mitigating against inter-African trade and generate market information needed to connect buyers and sellers throughout the continent. Now, moving over to the aviation sector, President Muhammadu Buhari says a single African air transport market offers a fantastic opportunity to build a continental aviation sector that will foster efficient movement of people and goods. Now, the President made this submission while declaring open the 54th Conference of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association in Abuja, represented by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Buhari said that such a single air transport market would help to move people and goods around the continent more quickly and efficiently. The theme of the conference is, and in quote, African Parliament and the challenge of the COVID-19 pandemic. On his part, Femi Gbajabiamila, Speaker, House of Representatives and President-designate CPA, commended President Buhari and to the Vice President for honoring the association's request to declare the conference open.
African countries have had cases with over 6 million people affected and well over 150,000 deaths. Already, troubling levels of poverty and joblessness were worsened here in Africa, and about 40 million people are estimated to have been pushed into extreme poverty as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, while unemployment in large African Commonwealth countries like Nigeria and South Africa are over 30%. Given this situation, it is clear that as African policymakers and legislators, we are compelled to respond through policies that drive growth, create jobs, and improve livelihoods, and that pay special attention to the needs of women and girls.
Now, President Muhammadu Buhari in Paris, France, met with the President of Islamic Bank Development, Mohamed Al-Jassar, explaining why the administration was committed to an infrastructure readiness for Nigeria. Femi Adesina, the president's spokesman, in a statement said the meeting was held at the sidelines of the Paris Peace Forum. Now, the IDB boss said the main role of the bank was to promote development among its stakeholders and will continue to lend a helping hand to Nigeria.
The new president of the Islamic Development Bank. I wanted to thank him personally and the people of Nigeria for the vote for my election as president of the Islamic Development Bank. I told him Nigeria is a very important country and member of the Islamic Development Bank, and I was very happy and proud to see the level of activity that we have in terms of projects that are ongoing, some projects that have already been completed, and projects that are on the drawing board for Nigeria. He was very gracious in receiving me and my colleagues, and we told him that we are very ready to help in every way possible. I have noticed how His Excellency is very much focused on infrastructure, which is very understandable from a leader of his stature. So I congratulated him on the priorities that he has set for Nigeria, and we look forward to deepening the relationship with Nigeria and to provide any help we can from the Islamic Development Bank.
Now let's take it to Lagos State, where a panel of inquiry set up by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to investigate the immediate and remote causes of the 21-story building that collapsed on Gerard Road, Ikoyi, will address members of the public on Monday. This is just as families of victims killed in the incident urged the state government to allow them to attend the panel proceedings, while lawyers warned the government against barring journalists from covering the probe. The state governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu had constituted a 6-member panel led by the president of Nigeria Institute of Town Planners, Toyin Ayinde, on November 3rd to investigate the immediate and remote causes of the collapse and submit its report within 30 days. Now, the high-rise owned by developer and managing director of Foursquare Heights Limited, Femi Osibona, had crumbled on November 4th, trapping him, his personal assistant Onyinye, and his US-based friend Wale Bob Oseni, billed to return to the state that fateful day. A corps member and several others working at the site. At the last count, 46 persons, including Osibona, Bob Oseni, and about Subed Enekwe, had been recovered dead from the rubble, while 15 persons were rescued alive as the emergency operations continued. Now, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the federal government will keep its climate change commitment and also focus on doing it in a way that works best for the needs of the Nigerian people. Osinbajo's spokesman Lau Luakande said in a statement in Abuja that the Vice President made the pledge when he received a delegation from the World Bank at the presidential villa. The delegation was led by its Managing Director of Development Policy and Partnerships, Dr. Mari Mangasu, as well as its Country Director for Nigeria, Chopin. Also, the Vice President interacted with officials of the International Monetary Fund and the IMF Article IV bilateral consultations. The Vice President has been advocating for a just transition to global net zero emissions. Now, he had particularly called on multilateral agencies and Western countries to stop the planned defunding of fossil fuels gas projects in developing countries as part of the energy transition plan towards the global net zero target by 2050. Now, the Chief Judge of the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory FCT, Honorable Justice Hussein Baba Yusuf, has signed new FCT District Court Civil Procedure Rules. Now, according to him, the District Court Act Cap 495, 1990, and the previous rules were enacted by the legislature of the then Northern region of Nigeria and came into force on the 30th September 1960. Now, among the provisions of the new rules are the reviewed and simplified court forms, principle of evidence for firms loaded with exceptions for a waiver for illiterate self-represented litigants, a new mode for commencing action by originating applications, and provision for claims in a foreign currency. Now, the chairman NBA Gwagwalada branch, Isa Aliyu Abubakar, who spoke on behalf of the other chairman in FCT, commended the CJ, said it is a welcomed development.
Scored by the fact that the District Court Act Cap 495, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, Abuja 1990, and the rules made thereto before now applicable to the FCT were enacted by the legislature of the then Northern region of Nigeria, and it came into force on the 30th of September 1960. Therefore, there has been a stagnation in the evolution of law and procedure in the lower court with civil jurisdiction for some time. It took the foresight of my lord, the immediate past chief judge of the FCT, my brother Honorable Justice Salisu Garba, to remedy the situation by putting together a committee which I had the privilege of chairing which he inaugurated on the 23rd of March 2021 to review and update the relevant laws enabling the district courts in the FCT to review and upgrade civil procedure rules applicable in the court, and review and propose appropriate monetary jurisdiction for the district courts in the FCT, amongst other terms of reference.
When News Live returns, the National Human Rights Commission has announced a plan to give award to the most human rights supporting federal ministries, departments and agencies, state government and civil society organizations. Details of this and more comes to you right after the break.
Welcome to News Plus on Viewer Television. I am Charles Doke.
Hello and welcome to News Plus on Viewer Television. I am Jai Malik.
Hello and welcome to News Plus. I am John Matake.
Hello and welcome to News Plus. I am Ike Omatong.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is News Live on Viewer Television. A recap of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari departs Paris for Intra-African Trade Fair in South Africa. Ikoyi building panel addresses public on Monday. Victims' families seek participation. Plus, pilots, passengers escape death in Australian plane crash. Now, the National Human Rights Commission has announced a plan to give awards to the most human rights supporting federal ministries, departments and agencies, state governments and civil society organizations. Tony Ojukwu, the Executive Secretary of the Commission, said this at a press conference in Abuja. He said arrangements were being put in place for the winners to be announced at the third edition of the National Human Rights Award, which will be part of the activities marking this year's December 10th Human Rights Day. He added that CSOs would be selected on, among other criteria, based on their impact in improving the understanding and respect for human rights, the impact of their work in eliminating social injustice as well as discriminatory practices, the risks they face in carrying out its work, the amount of time and resources spent by them, and the negative consequences faced by them in the course of its work.
You'll recall that we began this journey in December 2019, and since then, through the participation of Nigerians, we have recognized icons in our midst that play a significant role in the realization, promotion, protection, and enjoyment of human rights in our country. Since 2019, state governments, civil society organizations, as well as individuals have won the Distinguished Human Rights Awards. These awards are in realization of the fact that the human rights situation in the country, despite these daunting challenges, can maintain a steady improvement if individuals and organizations are encouraged to do more by appreciating their efforts in advancing the cause of human rights in the country.
Some Nigerians in diaspora have decried the unavailability of Nigerian passport booklets in missions abroad. They describe the situation as a threat to their stay and livelihood in their host countries. The Nigerians in Diaspora Network Germany disclosed this at a rally in Oberstein, Germany via a video. They called on the federal government to address the problem urgently. Now, the chairman NDN Victor Ojabulu said the predicament, if not urgently addressed, would create more hardship for Nigerians and even put them at risk of deportation. Also speaking, ODJ Iragbo, General Coordinator NDN, said the passport remained the most important single identity document required for the purpose of international relations.
To make a passionate appeal to the Federal Republic of Nigeria and especially the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. We want to let him know the predicament in which our people are going through here in Germany. For some months now, our people, they've not been able to obtain their Nigerian passport. And a lot are going through hell. One, those who are working, that they needed to renew their passport for them to continue work, they are not working anymore. Even our women who are supposed to get a passport for their children so that they will be registered officially for the state, for them to continue their life, they can no longer do all that because there is no passport booklet. It is very sad, and as the mouthpiece of the people, the Nigerians in Diaspora Network, we felt we have to come and make an appeal to the federal government.
This is call on Nigerian government to urgently address international passport dilemma in diaspora. The sad story is that we book an appointment for international passport with responsible Nigerian embassies. We travel unimaginable distance, sometimes across international border, to pay and capture for the passport. Therefore, we are made to wait indefinitely on the ground that booklets are not available.
The Executive Director of Nigerian Film and Video Censor Board, Alhaji Adedayo Thomas, had said that the agency is particularly concerned about the unstructured form of the digital film ecosystem. This was disclosed in a pre-event at Conference on Nigerian Digital Regulation, which was held in Ikeja, Lagos. The director said the unstructured form of the digital ecosystem, which may bring unprofessionalism, imbalance, and deny the government and people of Nigeria to form, give back, and contributory development through taxes, and in the long run might reduce acceptance and positive perception. He said improvements in the quality and offerings of cinematographic content and access have not only helped to improve social interactions, but it has strengthened the fight against piracy and boosted revenue and market penetration to creative content.
As the shift from traditional to digital content consumption and the operations of local and international over-the-top OTT streaming services continue to impact on the growth of the local film industry in Nigeria. With less than 30% Nigerians subscribing to OTT content, it has become imperative to convey a 2-day Nigeria Digital Content Conference to bring operators, stakeholders, and associated interests together in a conversation. We have also set aside another 2 days for the training of 50 selected emerging youth talent and entrepreneurs in understanding the models for OTT streaming and its components.
In a season of disruption, the traditional is being heavily disrupted by the digital space. So it's something that everyone needs to pay attention to, right? And no better time for us to begin to have those conversations. It's just a starting point. It's not the end, but you know, it's just the best or the good way to start off for us to bring everyone who is part of this of this industry, either on the production side for the producers, because they are the ones that are in the forefront of this current dispensation where we are. They are the content creators. They are the ones who are driving the businesses of the OTT services. Without them, there's not going to be any business for the OTT services. So they play a very critical role in what is happening currently within the space. And it's important to ensure that their businesses are also protected, that their, the policies and the decisions that are making is not stifling the creative minds that are producing and doing some of the things that are driving this businesses. So yes, it's such a good time for us to all come together. We are all contributing our own quota towards the development and the growth of our industry.
Now, on food insecurity, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations says over 12 million Nigerians are faced with hunger due to insecurity and the COVID-19 pandemic. FAO Communication Officer David Tiensong said this in a statement issued in Abuja. According to Nsoka, the United Nations Food Security and Nutrition Analysis conducted in 20 states in October showed that insecurity and COVID-19 have forced 12 million Nigerians into hunger. He said that about 19% of affected households are in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe State because of the ongoing insecurity in the northeast and the lingering economic impact of COVID-19. Now, he said that the provisional results of the report showed that the number of people in critical or worse phases of food insecurity might increase to about 16.9 million. Now, Nsoka said that an estimated 2 million people in the emergence phase, even with humanitarian aid, were facing extreme food deficit, resulting in very high acute malnutrition or excessive mortality. The proscribed indigenous people of Biafra has threatened to shut down the country over what it described as the biased handling of the trial of its leader, Nnamdi Kanu, by the federal government. Now, the group, which condemned the way some of Kanu's lawyers were denied into entry and courtroom by personnel of the Department of State Services after the resumption of his trial on Wednesday, alleged that the judiciary was being used to keep Kanu in detention perpetually without trial. Now, the group alleged that the long adjournment and what seemed like open bias in doing the bidding of the DSS had eroded the confidence of the accused in the neutrality of the judge handling the case. Professor Aliyu Shaguba, the Vice-Chancellor, University of Maiduguri, said the reduction in insurgent activities in Borno has made Maiduguri one of the most peaceful state capitals it was once known for. The Vice-Chancellor made this known when he led the delegation of the school management on a courtesy call on the Managing Director of the News Agency of Nigeria in Abuja. He said the busy activities that Maiduguri was once known for has returned, adding that even the university had recorded tremendous achievements, with visitors strong on it for one engagement or the other. In his remarks, the Managing Director of NAN, Bukiponle, reaffirmed the agency's commitment to ensuring the objective, balanced, and credible reportage that it was known for within and outside the country.
Good morning to you. Thank you. We are here to express our appreciation to the News Agency of Nigeria, because as a university that has been bedeviled by 12 years of insurgency, we try to identify those who have stood by us in all of this period, and those who have partnered with us to continue to keep the university standing, and also to seek continuously for that friendship and partnership that we can get from the agency.
This is your second home, University of Maiduguri, and the News Agency of Nigeria have come a long way, and we will never leave you. I remember the last time I was in the university was in 2006, because we had a robust partnership with the university when I was here coordinating some projects for the partnership with the United Nations. That was under the human trafficking, and also how to ensure that child labor was reduced in the country. We had a partnership with them because one of the lecturers was also active in the movement to ensure that we give children a better place, not only in Nigeria but all over the world.
Troops of Task Force Northeast Operation Hardin K have neutralized several Islamic State West African province terrorists during a recent encounter in Askira Uba local government area of Borno State. Now, Director Army Public Relations Brigadier General Oyema Wanchiku in a press release said troops supported by the air component of OPHK have destroyed 5 A-jets, 2 A-29, 2 Dragon combat vehicles, and 9 gun trucks. The statement, however, said that a senior officer, Brigadier General Nzama, and 3 soldiers paid the supreme sacrifice in a very rare display of gallantry as they provided reinforcement in a counter-offensive against the terrorists and successfully defended the location. The family of the senior officer and soldiers have been contacted. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, has commiserated with the families and relations of the fallen heroes and also directed that the troops continue in the ferocious counter-offensive and hot pursuit to eliminate the remnants of the fleeing terrorists. Now, news around the world. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday denied claims Moscow is helping to orchestrate a crisis that has left hundreds of migrants from the Middle East trapped on the Belarus-Poland border. Now, blaming Western policies in the Middle East for the crisis, Putin hit back at claims from Poland and others that Russia is working with Belarus to send migrants to the border of the European Union. Putin said European leaders needed to talk to Belarusian President Alexander to resolve the crisis. Now, the migrants, mainly Kurds, have been stuck for days in a no-man's land on the border in near freezing temperatures, setting up a tent camp and burning wood to keep warm. Belarus says there are about 2,000 people in the camp, including pregnant women and children. Poland says there are between 3,000 to 4,000 migrants on the border, with more arriving every day. And on COVID-19, with almost 2 million COVID-19 cases and 27,000 deaths reported last week, Europe has once again become the epicenter of the pandemic, prompting countries from across the continent to impose stricter restrictions. The figures represent the most cases in a single week the continent has ever since the coronavirus emerged, said Tedros, Director General of the World Health Organization. The number of deaths amount to more than half of the ones reported globally. Now, different policies have been put in place in a bid to curb the virus. from restricting hours at a slew of venues in the Netherlands to instituting vaccination mandates in Italy. Still, while the region grapples with rising cases, nations are taking more severe steps to stop the infection spread.
Almost 2 million cases of COVID-19 were reported in Europe last week, the most in a single week in that region since the pandemic started. Almost 27,000 deaths were reported from Europe, more than half of all COVID-19 deaths globally last week.
Still on COVID-19, hundreds of Dutch protesters had a water cannon turned on them by police after they objected to the partial return of lockdown in the Netherlands as COVID cases continue to soar. Dutch police blasted a group of around 200 people with water in a bid to disperse demonstrators who had been throwing stones and fireworks in protest on Friday evening. Anti-lockdown protests erupt in The Hague as Holland enters another partial lockdown period Netherlands. In the clip, dozens of protesters can be seen sitting on the ground while they brace for impact as police turned the water cannons on them. As they turned their backs and shielded one another from the barrage, officers sprayed them again. Let's take it to France, where 6 days after the horror of the 13 November attacks, Saturday commemorations are more symbolic than ever as the ongoing trial of the alleged perpetrators has tested the victims' resolve and continues to shape the collective memory of the attacks. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic prevented survivors and victims' families from gathering with a minimal ceremony taking place during lockdown. This year's tribute is marked by the fact that the long-awaited trial of the alleged masterminds of the attacks got underway in September, reviving the memory of the deadliest terrorist assault ever committed on French soil in great detail. Accompanied by Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo, Prime Minister Jean is due to visit the Bataclan, the Stade de France and Café Terrence across Paris, where commandos led by the Islamic State armed group killed 130 people and wounded more than 350 in 2015, sending shockwaves through the country. And lastly, a pilot and his passenger have remarkably survived crashing into the ocean of City Beach in Perth, Australia after encountering engine trouble on a flight. Police were quick to arrive on the scene at the seaside hotspot 10 kilometers from the city's CBD after receiving reports of an aircraft crashing into the water around 3:30 p.m. local time. It has since been confirmed that the aircraft was a small plane which encountered engine troubles, and both the pilot and passenger swam 20 meters to shore after landing in the ocean. After encountering engine trouble, the pilot had to maneuver the plane into the ocean at City Beach in Perth. The crash was witnessed by many beachgoers who were out enjoying the 31-degree temperatures in the West. WA Police Inspector Vic Hussain said the two men had been roughly 20 to 30 minutes into a hobby flight from Jeddah Court Airport when the pilot reported a problem with the plane. And that's all on News Live, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. President Muhammadu Buhari departs Paris before 4 intra-African trade fair in South Africa. Ikoyi building partner addresses public on Monday. Victims' families seek participation. Plus, pilot passenger escaped death in Australian plane crash. To stay tuned for the rest of our programs. Many thanks for watching. Good night.